All right, so this is a open public call, so try and stay off names, places, and monetary figures, and I'm all ears.
Yes, sir. I wanted to talk to you about well, the thing I wanted to talk about was recently I was watching one of your videos that you recently uploaded, which I am completely confused on when this video was actually made, but it doesn't matter. The point of it was that you made this comment about how people didn't follow you to the one website over, which is mostly on me. I didn't realize was the actual name of the domain for the longest time. And it reminded me of something I was having difficulty with my own followers, which was that I was being a little catty towards them when they didn't support me financially or support me spiritually. And I was wondering if, like, okay, I'm I'm off topic here. Recently, you did a video with titled "How to Be an Entrepreneur," and it already covered almost all the topics I wanted to talk about today on how to talk to your customers and followers on how to have them support you and have their connection with them. And it was beautiful, but that was what I wanted to talk about, but I already scheduled the meeting and so on and so forth. So the issue is, how do we talk to our customers? How do we talk to our followers to have them support us and have that connection with them?
Um, Sorry, so I've kind of answered the question, but you have a sort of related question. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm a freelance writer, or just a writer in general, and I have a lot of followers. And I had this issue recently where I got a little catty with them the way that you were a little bit catty with in your videos about you just had to follow me one website to the left. And I had a similar thing with my followers like, hey, you had the chance to support me to get more of what you wanted. So I don't want to hear your complaints about how I'm not giving you more of what you want because you didn't support me and you didn't follow me. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, which was how to have this connection with this. I'm very bad at this, sir. You have 40 years of experience with this. I'm terrible at talking to people on.
Okay, let me start, and it's a very interesting question,
Yes,
and I
sir.
appreciate you bringing it up. So I'm always on the listening, like when people talk, for the language that they're using. So the first thing I'd like to ask you, and this is without criticism, it's just with general curiosity, why the word caddy? That's very interesting. Why the word
Yes.
caddy? What do you mean by that?
Um this is definitely more on me than you, which was that when you said, I'm sure you read my email
Hmm.
or whatever it's called, was that when in your videos recently that I realized were actually really old videos that you're really re-uploading, were making these comments about how, hey, you just had to follow me one website to the left. You guys didn't care that much. And I was like, ooh, that's a little hurtful. I don't know if that really applies to me, but I still feel a little guilty about that. And then I wondered, wait, am I kind of sounding like that to my customers, to my followers? Because I got thousands of them, and I've kind of been a dick to them. Nowhere near. I'm sorry. Wait, no, not quite that. Like, you've not been a dick to your followers at all, to be clear. But I've been a little catty towards my followers, and listen to what you said, which was a much more minor um sin to what I did, was making me think, wait, has my behavior towards my followers been unacceptable? Have I been interacting with the people I want to have this connection with not quite right? And then
Well,
you
that's
had this
interesting. So we've
conversation.
gone from caddy to dick to sin.
Yes. No, I've been a
No,
dick.
listen,
You've
no,
not been a dick.
it's not a
You
criticism.
have
I'm
not
just
been a dick.
pointing it out. But go ahead.
Yes. You've not been a dick. I've been a dick. And the way you were talking,
Well,
which
but
was a much
you're
more.
hang on, hang on. But you're
Yes,
putting
sir.
us in the same general category. And listen, I'm not offended
Yes.
by it. Maybe it's always possible that I'm being a dick. That's always within the realm of human possibility. But I'm more curious about your perception of these things and why
Yes.
this characterization occurs for you.
Yes. And it's one of those things where somebody does something that you've done to a much lesser extent that makes you think, now, wait a minute, am I acting in the correct way? And then you had that conversation, how to be an entrepreneur, last week is when I saw it, but I don't know when that video was actually made. And in that video, you talked about all the things I was actually wanting to talk about, how to talk to potential customers, how to badger people if you need a badger, how to have that personal connection with the customers that you want to have. And in my case, I was being cat. To put it, let me tell you my story. I'm sorry, I'm very bad at this. I am a writer and I have a lot of followers. And I have a Patreon and I wanted to write for my followers full time instead of my customers full time. So there's this distinction. I have about 2,000 followers, but I have a handful of customers. My handful of customers pay me like $100 per chapter. My customers pay me almost nothing. And so I put myself out there and said, hey, customers, if you want me to just write what you guys collectively want me to write, just put it up to $1 per month. I can do this full time. They did not. And that was my answer. They
Okay,
said
so hang
no.
on. Let me make sure I understand this. You got your customers and you got your followers. Are the customers
Yes, sir.
the people on your Patreon, or is that the followers?
No, the followers are on Patreon. The customers pay me like $100 per chapter, and I have a handful of those. But my Patreons, my followers, pay me like $1 per month. And
Can you
so
really
I
pay
gave
$1
my
a month? I mean, doesn't the sort of Visa or bank or other overhead sort of chew that into ribbons?
the Patreon takes like 30%, taxes are like 20%. But if all of them just gave me $1 per month, that would be like $1,500 per month. As a bachelor, that's plenty of money to live
Okay, so
off
you
of.
get 50 cents on the dollar if people support you for $1. Is that right?
70, 75. But with my customers, they pay me like $100 per chapter. Like,
Sorry,
hey,
sorry.
write this
Sorry
thing
if
for
I
me.
misunderstood the math. I thought it was Patreon takes 30% and then you've got taxes in general.
Patreon takes like 20% taxes, 10 to 15. So
Oh, sorry. Okay,
65,
got it.
75.
So you get 65 cents or so
Yeah.
on the dollar, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so when you were making these comments like, hey, it was one side over the left, which I repeat, I did not know was the actual name
Well, that's
for the
a joke
domain for
that
the
kind of
longest
came up
time.
later. I said one side, you couldn't go one side over, and then someone created a website called One Side Over that redirects. But it
Yeah.
wasn't my,
And
that
I
wasn't
think that's
originally the thing.
hilarious. And I wish I'd come up with that because that is just brilliant wordplay. Because that is fantastic. And uh, I, I lost you when you were deleted from the internet, and I only followed you on what is the website? It's the YouTube ripoff.
I wouldn't say ripoff necessarily, but do you mean Rumble?
Not Rumble, the other one.
Odyssey, Rumble, there is BitChute, there is
BitChute.
local.
Yes, I followed you on BitChute specifically for the Truth About series. That was what I followed you for, the Truth About series.
Okay.
That was my obsession with you. I just loved that series, and that's all I followed you for. So for the longest time, I just followed you on BitChute for that after you were deleted from the internet.
Well,
And so, and then we came back to YouTube and I was seeing these videos that were older and you were making these comments like, you just had to follow me one side to the left. And I'm like, that's kind of hurtful because I wanted to follow you. But part of it was my laziness that I didn't want to go that extra step. And part of it was my stupidity. I'm like, I didn't know that was the domain name. And then
well,
I was wondering,
hang on. Okay, so so I appreciate that. So how long were you following me before I was deplatformed?
I followed you since around 2014. And to specify, about 2 months before you were deleted from the internet, I backed up every single video you ever made onto an external hard drive.
Ah, okay, cool. Good to know.
And that's the thing I wanted to show you. I have it right here. You have the video. I have it right here. I can show you. I have this.
That's very cool.
So it wasn't a matter of, and I wanted to share that with you in addition to this other topic I want to talk about, which is that we really did love you, Stefan, but we loved you for different reasons. And we didn't have the means or the, not ethics, work ethic to follow you to these other websites, which we couldn't find. For like the longest time, I was actually living on the road when you disappeared. And I couldn't find your website because every time I tried to Google you or even Freedom Main, it was just like, this guy's a neo-Nazi. This guy's a eugenicist. And I couldn't find, none of them ever actually cited your actual domain name, and I lost it.
Sorry, you used Google? Who the hell uses Google anymore?
Morons like me.
I mean, because there's actual objective search engines that you can use. But okay, so you couldn't remember the name of the website, and you couldn't find me through any searches.
Yes.
They just didn't lead
I
you
was
to
living in a
anything.
van on the road at the time.
Hmm.
And then I come back and I find you returned now that I finally have a place again. and I'm working again and actually living in one place. And you were making these comments, they reminded me of how this is getting way off track. I wanted to talk about how to talk to customers and have a relationship with them, which I've struggled really strongly to do because I've only made a profit from having individual relationships with a handful of customers. And you seem to have this really good relationship with a huge amount of customers and
Hmm.
followers. And that's the disconnect. And you were making these comments like you couldn't follow me, this other thing. And it was reminding me of these comments I was
No,
making.
no, no. I understand. You've
Let me
mentioned
try
that
to.
a couple of times before, and it's funny how you
Yes, sir.
said we're going off topic. It's like, but it's a conversation, so there is no central topic that
Oh,
we have to
yes.
stay on, right? So, okay, so
Oh,
I was
I'm
not
bad. I'm
deleted from the
sorry.
internet, right? I mean, that's sort of impossible to do, right? I just,
Yes,
I
sir.
was already on other websites, but I just spent more time on those other websites, right? And so I wasn't deleted. There was tons of places to find me. And so saying you love me and all of that, listen, I appreciate that. That's very kind. But I'm questioning why it hurt you, if that makes sense. And I just would try to understand that emotional side of things because it's really important.
Well, it hurt me because it made me realize I was being really rude to my followers. Was like, I'm trying to find a direct quote of what I said. I said, "Hey, you guys had the chance to support me to get more of what you want. I'm going to focus more on what these guys who are actually paying me want me to do, and they pay me to write by the chapter. There's like they're very deliberate, like money talks. They're telling me, hey, write this chapter on this type of story, and here's your money. Meanwhile, you guys, all you had to do was pay me $1 a month, and I could have done this full time.
Okay, hang on. So when you
And they
said,
do.
so when I was talking to the listeners and I said you guys couldn't bother to follow me one website over, it hurt you because of your
Yes,
relationship with your
because I mean, yes, and this is more on me than you.
um. I'm not sure how it would be on me, your relationship with your listeners, but
Yes,
because I
yes,
thought you said you felt bad, and I'm sorry if I misunderstood this. I thought you said you felt bad because you kind of didn't have the work ethic to, find me. And
well,
I'm not that hard
that's
to
a
find,
different problem.
even through Google and stuff like that. I mean, yes, you'll get the slanderous stuff and all of that, but I'm not that hard to find, right? Maybe it's second page or whatever, right?
Yes, but I and most people who only followed you maybe for one video series or another are like,
Oh no,
I spent
come
10
on, you were
minutes
following
scrolling
for
through
6 years, off
Google.
and on, right? So that's a fairly big investment, and none of this is a nag. I'm just
Well,
genuinely
Stefan,
curious, and I really appreciate the feedback.
Mr. Molyneux, it was not that big of an investment at all. All I did was press follow and said, "Oh, a new Truth About video. Watch."
No, no,
That
I
was
mean
my
in terms of
investment.
time. So it wasn't like you'd just been following me for a couple of weeks and then I vanished and you're like, ah, well. I mean, if you'd followed me off and on for 6 years, and the work that I do is not replicated anywhere else because nobody takes the kind of sort of deep philosophical dives into sort of history and current events the way that I was doing. So you try to follow me or you try to get the latest YouTube videos and stuff, and I'm gone, and then you maybe go to a couple of other places and I'm gone, or Twitter, or all the other places. And then you did a search, but you had a little bit of trouble finding me. Is that right?
Yes, and all I was able to find you on was BitChute, and all I wanted from you was the Truth About series, which, oh, by the way, if you ever just want to release a DVD box set of the Truth About series, I'll pay $100 for
Oh,
that.
thank you. I appreciate that.
But on, I'm like not joking. Like the thing that was the specific thing I followed
Right.
you for.
Okay.
And there's probably a lot of other people who followed you for one specific thing or another, as opposed to all of that stuff you said combined. Like you just said, not to discount it, but in the terms of value, what you just said, all of that stuff combined is definitely valuable. But I wasn't following you for all of that. That wasn't the investment I made. The investment I made was, oh, click, subscribe. Oh, a new Truth About video. Watch that. That was my
Okay.
investment.
And over the 6 years that you followed me, did you ever donate or subscribe monetarily?
I did not, but that's because you didn't have a Patreon.
No, that's not the reason.
No, I have a
No, no, but
Patreon,
that's
and
not the
that's
reason.
very
That's not the
convenient.
reason.
But like, well,
And the reason I say that, and it's totally fine that you didn't, but the reason that I say that is because, well, first of all, I was kicked off Patreon, but the reason
oh, I'm
I
sorry.
had a lot of different ways that people could donate or subscribe that were not Patreon, right? I mean, for most of my time, I was on PayPal, or and I had crypto and a bunch of other stuff. And of course, when you could donate on YouTube, you could donate in super chats through YouTube, and I mean, there was probably at least 6 to 8 different ways to donate that weren't Patreon. So saying, well, I couldn't donate because it's not Patreon. Listen, it's fine that you didn't donate, but it's not because there just wasn't Patreon.
There's two things about that. First is that most people don't have half a dozen accounts on different payment methods. All I have is Patreon and PayPal, and after
Yeah, but
that,
I was on PayPal.
the
But hang on,
time
I was on PayPal.
you were on
That was my
PayPal? I
primary
lost it.
donation
I
method.
never saw it.
So you didn't go to the donate page and you didn't find out. So when you said to me, well, I didn't donate because Steph, you weren't on Patreon, you didn't go to the donation page because for all the time that you're talking about, from 2014 through till 2020, or nearabouts, I was on PayPal. So that's the way that the donation would have happened.
Mhm.
And of course, you don't need an account to donate over PayPal. You can just put in the credit card info, and you don't actually need to create an account. But no, you could subscribe and donate directly through PayPal for all the time period. And listen, I'm not nagging you about not donating, because it's a very interesting question. But the question is, why didn't you donate? And the reason I'm asking you this is to try and get you into the mindset of the people who aren't donating to you, if that makes sense, right? Right. So
Yes,
if somebody's not
that's how I've been doing
if somebody's not buying from you, you have to put yourself into the mindset of why you didn't buy. So if you're saying, well, why didn't people donate to me? Then you have to. If you're saying to me, Steph, why don't my people donate to me, the 50 cents or 65 cents per person after expenses? So to figure out why your customers aren't donating to you or subscribing to you, the first place to go is to say, well, why don't I subscribe to other people, and then work to overcome that, if that makes sense.
And that's exactly what I've been struggling with, sir. But with me, what the problem was, the only people I advertised to was people who were already patrons. I have a free patron tier. And I said, hey, if all of you donate $1 to $10 per month, I can do this full time. But with you, what I realized was, wow, laziness is really inherent in the human condition, is that I couldn't go through those extra steps of following to your website, finding the PayPal link, putting in this information to create an automatic payment system, or whatever the process is. Like, wow, people aren't willing to do that. And then I'm complaining about something that's even fewer steps. And even then, people aren't willing to do that.
Okay, so we're not lazy. It's just low priority, right? I mean, do you eat well? Do you go to the dentist? Do you pay your taxes? Yes, I assume, right?
I did not go to the dentist, but I have been paying my taxes, and I could eat better.
It's not a matter of laziness. It's a matter of motivation. I mean, if by donating to me, you got to live an extra 10 years, like, I wouldn't even finish that sentence and you would donate to me, right? I mean, so this is another thing, and this is sort of basic.
That's a better investment than tennis.
Right. So the question is, why don't you donate to me, or why didn't you for 6 years? And that will release you from the karma of people not donating to you, right? So, but that's an interesting question. I mean, you were getting value. How many, roughly? I know it's tough to guesstimate, but how many? Because you actually spent a lot more time downloading my shows than it would have taken to just donate to me, which is kind of interesting, right?
Oh no, it took like an hour. It took like an hour. There's a software called 4K video download. You can just put the link for a YouTube channel. It downloads it all.
Do you think
an hour? Like the entire YouTube channel, all their videos.
But what I'm saying is that setting all of that up took more time than donating.
Yes, and I didn't. That's part of the laziness, and that's one of the things I really regretted about myself.
You were motivated enough to take all my content, but you weren't motivated enough to pay for it, and that's an interesting question, right? So, roughly how many shows would you say? Hang on, roughly how many shows would you say you consumed over the 6-year period?
I really only ever watched the Truth About series and a few interviews, particularly those on the medical and education system. I don't remember the names of the individuals, but you did the amazing interviews with people with a doctor working in medicine and had a private clinic, and another on a person creating his own new or who had created his own new K through 12 system. And that pretty much amounts to what I
Okay, so
watched.
maybe
And
50
like I said, I
shows,
do want
maybe
to talk about
75 shows over 6 years.
no, way more than that. Just hang on. I can just plug
No,
this
no,
in and I
honestly,
can
it
look
doesn't
up
doesn't
the
hugely matter.
total
I don't need
amount
the
of
detailed
Truth
number. So
About
would you
It.
say 200 shows?
Well over that. Just however many the Truth About series
Okay,
you
so
did,
let's
that's
say
how many.
300 shows, just to be conservative, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's say an hour and a
Yes, sir.
half per show, 2 hours for the truth abouts, an hour for the interviews usually. So we'll average it out at an hour and a half times 300. That's 450 hours, right? So 450
Yes, sir.
hours of very high quality, high researched content and no donation. And
Not only that,
that's the
sir.
interesting question is you have a thought process. Laziness doesn't answer anything, right? So you have a thought process. And again, it's not like we can go back in time and have you donate to me. So this is not the issue. The question is, what was your thought process about not donating? Because you heard me say, like, share, subscribe, donate, blah, 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 like every
Well,
show.
two things.
So what was your thought process about not donating? Because that's an important thing for you to understand with regards to your customers.
Yes, I've had over a week to think about this, and I think there are two roadblocks. The first was that there's this digital not owning problem, which is that just donating to you. I don't want to donate to you. I want to buy from you. I think I made the joke that's not a joke earlier. If you just make a DVD box set of the Truth About series, I'd pay $100 for that, dude. I'm not even exaggerating. It's that high quality content, but it's not out there. Your books are great. I think I bought well, it wasn't Peaceful Parenting. It was
Real-time
one of the other
relationships.
ones. I bought the book.
Okay.
Yes, I bought that. I lost it since then. I think I gave it away, and I'm
So
never
that's
giving
funny
away a book
because
again.
you say it's
Never give
not
it back.
physical, but the physical one you've lost or given away, but the digital ones you all have in a box. So you actually have more ownership over them. Okay. So the
Yes.
convenience of it being
So
delivered,
I
hang on. So
want
the
to
convenience
buy
of it
something.
being delivered digitally and available to you whenever you wanted
Yes.
just was not value to you, right?
Yes. Convenience is not valued, and digital is not valued, but
Okay.
physical I value. And I realize that with my customers. I want something physical from you.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So,
That's what I
okay.
think the
So,
disconnect
but
is.
but you're still consuming, right? And that's sort of the question, right? Because if you say, well, I don't value digital, then don't watch it, right? But if you sort of suck down 450 hours worth of concentrated moral, philosophical, political, and whatever it is content, then clearly you're finding value in it, right? You're finding value in it because you're consuming a lot, right? Like all of the Beatles over only goes into 10 hours, and everything that Jesus said
Demolishing?
fits into 2 hours. But you got 450 hours, and so you are definitely finding it to be of value. You're hearing me request donations. You see a request for donations with a simple click underneath the YouTube video. There were at the sort of for the last couple of years, 5 years or so of my YouTube career, there was actually a click box at the end of the videos you could click on to get to the donation page. And you told yourself something about donating or not donating. And to find out what you said to yourself is the key to unlocking your donations towards you.
Yes, but well, two corrections. One is don't cite the Beatles; they were awful. Cite the Police or the Queen. But just ignoring that, um, in terms of free content, I also get an equal amount of really high quality content from the library and the library apps that are absolutely free, and I've gotten even more hours
Sorry,
from
from the
that.
library. Do you mean like the
And that
physical
I
library?
think is part of the both the physical library and there are two apps. One is called Libby, and one is called I forgot the other one. But yes, I get literally infinite, similarly high quality content from those. And so the only things
No, but
I
sorry,
tend to
sorry.
find myself
Are those
willing to
other
buy,
apps? Or,
especially
I mean, the library doesn't require that you donate because you're kind of donating through your taxes, right? And so I
exactly,
don't know about this other apps, but I assume that
exactly,
the authors are not requesting that you donate, right? So it's the difference between saying I'm going to a high-end clothing store and then I found a jacket on the street. and like this sort of different. So when I say, or and I mean, you're an intelligent man, and you know that what I do has costs. And I've had a number of employees, studio costs, server costs, bandwidth costs, production costs, and all of that sort of stuff, especially with the documentaries. So you know that it costs money, but you say something to yourself to not donate, even though you heard the donation pitch 300 times. There's something that you say to yourself, and that's what you need to unpack.
Yes, and I have all the excuses in the world. One is I almost only listened to you when I was on the road because of
Doesn't
work.
matter. That's not relevant, right?
Going into that,
I don't
right?
say
Exactly. Doesn't matter. It's
donate
the
to the
point.
show unless you're in motion, right? That's not a standard. So we have to sort of get our way through the excuses just in the interest of efficiency. Hang on, let
Exactly.
me
We
finish.
need to find out what it is.
So yeah, we have to get our way through the excuses and
Yes,
get
sir.
to the core of why not donate, because that's what you want to unlock for your audience, right?
Yes, and that's what I want to walk
Okay,
for you.
so forget the excuses.
Well, for me, yes, we does. Let's work our way through the excuses. One was back when I used to listen to you. Well, one, I was broke, unbelievably broke. Two, I would only ever listen to you when I was on the road because of work to try and not be broke anymore. Three is this disconnect between this free content and wanting to buy content, especially with at the time and especially more today. I'm a bit of a gamer, and I've become so resentful of the business model of buying digital content that you don't own. So I don't want to donate to you. I kind of want to buy something from you and own it.
Well, but that's hang on.
If that makes sense.
So, well, of course, you could order all the books, right? They're all available for order, but you only ordered one. And secondly, and this is an important thing, you don't get to define the relationship, right? I mean, you don't get to define. I mean, I don't get to go to an Ethiopian restaurant and demand sushi, right? Because it's an Ethiopian restaurant, right? So if my business model is I provide this stuff free, commercial free, right? Because if you listen to 450 hours worth of content, standard is 10 to 20 minutes sometimes of ads per hour. And so, you saved dozens and dozens of hours of commercial time and all that sort of stuff, which is sort of very convenient and helpful. So you, on your side, you don't get to define what the exchange of value is, right? So you don't get to consume 450 hours worth of material and then say, I'm only going to pay for the physical. I only want the physical. Because if you didn't want the digital, you wouldn't be consuming it, right? So if you're consuming it and the request is for donations for consuming the digital content, it's important to notice, and it's just an important thing about relationships as a whole, not just, of course, what I do, but you don't get to unilaterally say, well, I'm not going to donate because I want something physical after consuming 450 hours of the digital, if that makes sense.
If you're open to me disagreeing,
of course, yeah.
You set up this this relationship, and can I get like 3 minutes here to just kind of talk?
I'm not sure
sorry,
what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean by can I get some time to talk? We're having a conversation.
I'm saying
sure
it's going to take me a
permission.
while to explain my argument.
I'm sorry?
I'm saying it's going to take me a good 3 minutes to explain my argument before we can continue and wrapping our heads around it.
All right.
So you kind of define this relationship when you put all this wonderful content out there for free, and I did the same thing. Oh, I don't know what to stock down there. I'll ignore it. And I defined a similar relationship with my customers when I put all this writing out there for free that they loved and followed by the tens of thousands. And so when I demanded money on top of that, I tried to change the relationship and I got some resentment for that. Like I got some nasty messages about, I'm kind of really annoyed by this, you begging at the end of every chapter for money. I'm like, oh, maybe I should stop doing that. And I kind of broke to this peer pressure, like, oh, I shouldn't ask for money. I shouldn't try to badger people to support me for the things they like. And then at the same time, I kind of defined this relationship by putting stuff out there for free. And you did the same with us. And so what I eventually did, actually just 2 weeks ago, after I had this revelation with the things you I don't remember the exact quote or which video it was, but you said, "Hey, this is one website over to the left.com." Like, wait, that was the domain name? Okay. Uh, and like, hey, you could have followed me, you could have supported me. Here are the links. I'm like, what if I just asked my customers what they'd be willing to pay for? And I did that. And they all pretty much, all the ones that responded at least, was like less than 10, no, 5% of them said, hey, just write an actual book and put it out physically. And so I left me wondering, like, hey, did you ever do that? Did you ever just like talk to your fans at large and say, hey, I want you guys to support me, but donations kind of sounds like charity, kind of sounds like you're my customers. That's our relationship. I can't have, like, I've talked to my people. I'm like, I want to have this personal connection with you. But once we pass the 1,000 person mark, or once we pass the 100 person mark, that becomes difficult. And so I can only have this personal connection with a handful of
Okay, so
customers.
hang on. So I thought you're putting out like a half dozen different topics, and I'm just trying to follow because I don't know which ones to address. So we kind of need to break it down
Okay,
a little.
I'll break it down.
Okay,
First
so
is,
go ahead.
have you talked to customers about what they want to pay you for? Like, hey, guys, I need money. I want money. You guys like my content. How do we bridge this? What do you guys want from me? I told you once, hey, put out a DVD box set of the Truth About series. I'll pay you $100 for that. Or with my customers said, hey, write a book. Put it out there, the physical copy. I'll buy that. And so on and so forth.
Okay, so
And
what's
so we
happened
need to find this
if you're hang on.
relationship.
So if your customers want to pay for a book, then just write a
Yes.
book and sell it,
Yes.
and you can make money that way. Is that right?
Yes. And so that broke the part of the disconnect I was having. Was like, wait, why don't we just talk to our customers and ask them what they want, what they'd be willing to pay for? I did that, and I haven't watched all 20 million videos you produce over the years. My God, you are a machine. I don't know how you do it. But have you ever done that? Like, have you ever actually just talked to your customers at large, say, hey, what product could I make that you guys would buy instead of this donation system?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, there's no reason why you would know the first 8 or 9 years of free domain. But yeah, I did physical books, and my books were originally only available as physical. T-shirts, I did hats, I did a wide variety of merchandise and so on, and people didn't really buy it.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
I mean,
I believe
I
it.
did sort of try because I sort of come from the physical world of sales, and so yeah, I definitely tried all of that, and of course, what I did was I continually asked people what kind of shows did they like the most, and in general, people like the truth about politics and the call-in shows. So for many years, I focused on those. So let me back up for a sec though, because you said something interesting.
For that, can I ask one question?
Yes, go ahead.
I had to re reorient myself towards profitability with a small handful of customers paying me for individual chapters over the large majority of customers paying me by donations. Did you experience a bigger inflow of income from switching towards those individual conversations and what you just said, from switching towards the physical to that?
Sorry,
Like, did
what do you
that
mean by
actually?
the individual conversations?
Did you, when you switched to, I already forgot what you just said. I'm terrible at this.
Sorry, do you mean
You
when
said
I started having private calls?
yes, when you started having private calls and debates and interviews, did that
Well,
actually
no,
bring
no,
in
hang
more
on, hang on,
income
hang
than
on,
the physical?
hang on. So it's only, I think it was last year or something like that, that I started doing private calls, and those are never published, and they're just between me and people. So I sort of charge an hourly rate for that. And yeah, I
Perhaps
mean that was
I meant,
important. But with regards to the other stuff, I just asked people what they wanted and tried to focus on that.
okay, maybe I misspoke. I was talking about, like, all the way back in 2015, you were having these one-on-one conversations with people and live streaming them about their family
Yeah, that's all
problems,
free. Yeah,
about
that
their
was all
business
free.
problems.
I never charged a penny for
That
those.
was all free. And I'm wondering if that brought in more income in terms of donations than you actually made from selling these physical products, was my question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The physical products were almost a complete bust. People just didn't want the physical stuff. I went through that process for quite a while, and ended up taking the store down because it was just kind of depressing. So yeah, people don't want the physical stuff. Okay, so but let me
Okay,
go back
so
to
I've been
something.
doing the right
Sorry, go
thing.
ahead.
So I've been doing the right thing. I've just been following the money and listening to what people told me with their wallets. And you've been doing the same thing. And this is what you wound up, and you're much more experienced than me.
So let's go back to when you said, Steph, when you put all of this stuff out for free.
Yes.
I think that's the problem in your mindset, if you don't mind me saying so. And problem means just an opportunity with a different spelling, right? So you said, Steph, when you put all of this stuff out for free, tell me
You
what you
define the
mean by
relationship.
that.
What I said when you put all this stuff out there for free, you define the relationship that you were giving out these stories, this philosophy, this wisdom for free. I did the same thing with my stories. I was giving out these stories for free for their entertainment. And then there was a large contingent that of people, excuse me.
No, but why would you characterize it as free when I ask for donations to support what I'm doing?
The actual content was easy to access,
Yes.
free to access,
Yes.
and it was out there. And when there wasn't a paywall, and I'm wondering if you tried the paywall and if that worked better, or if that's more moral, where you pay me for my content, you pay me for my work, because the work you put in is definitely worth being paid for.
Well, but
But
not by you.
people, not by me, because I had this disconnect, because
Okay,
all of this
so
content,
this is what I'm trying to focus
similar
on, this
content was free.
disconnect. This disconnect. So
Yes,
tell me what you
that's what I'm trying to
mean
figure out.
when you say, Steph, you put out all of this work for free.
Yes.
I mean, have you ever been like in small towns, or sometimes they have them in hotels, or there are little book libraries, right? And you're supposed to take a book and read it while you're at the resort or something like that, and then the ideal is, you put it back or you bring another book. People leave books behind if they finish them, and it's just a kind of unmonitored library. There's some lovely small towns in northern Ontario where there are these little stands, they have little books, and with these sort of glass doors, and you could just take a book and give a book, right? So,
Yeah.
would
And
you?
are you
And there are also
from that?
stands where you can take eggs and leave some money and so on, right? So it's not enforced, right? So you can, if you wanted, you could take all of those books and just, there could be 30 or 40 books in these little book nooks or something. You could just take them all and leave, right? Say, well, it's free. But that's not really how it's supposed to work, right? So when I say, and I've made the case a whole bunch of times, I'm sure you heard it, that's the sort of business case as to why donate. So when you say, Steph, when you put all this stuff out for free, so you define the relationship. So that lets you off the hook and saying, well, Steph, he's putting all this stuff out for free, so I don't have to pay. But that's not what it is.
You
It's
didn't actually put
donation
it out for
based.
free, though, did you?
I'm sorry?
You defined the exchange rate. Oh, I'm sorry. I said you didn't necessarily put it out for free, though. The exchange rate seemed to be philosophy and wisdom and knowledge. And that exchange rate really went around in terms of the conversations you were having and the comments in the sections and all of that. And at the end of the videos, there was this call to donate, and there was this disconnect there with me. I'm talking about me.
Okay,
And then
but
with
that's I'm trying to figure out that disconnect so I can help you. I'm trying to get
yes, I
you
am
to get
too.
donations. So what's the disconnect?
Yes. Well, with me, I know exactly what a disconnect is okay, I'm gonna really embarrass myself out. I literally get paid to write fan fiction. That is my job. I make a living doing this. Now, let's give your listeners a moment to laugh at that.
Hey,
People pay me to
whoever
write
can make their writing by the pen, it's fine. I no mockery from me. Good for you. So I'm not sure what that disconnect is, though.
the disconnect with me was that I just put it out there mostly as an expression of art to develop as an artist because my earlier stuff was garbage. And then it started being less garbage. And then eventually it was good. And then eventually people said, hey, would you write my stuff? And I said, if you pay me, and then they vanish. And then eventually somebody said yes. And they paid me. And then more people paid me. And then even more people paid me. And now I make a living from it. And the people who came in here for the art itself are a little sour about it. They're like, I entered this fandom, this adventure for the art, for the exploration, and then you turned it into this evil capitalist system where there's profit motive involved. And
Okay,
so
so I just kind of beg you to boil it down, right? I still don't have an answer as to why you didn't donate.
Well, with you, because I came in there and I got the wrong impression. I thought with YouTube,
No,
I
you
go
didn't
there
get
for
the
free
wrong
entertainment.
impression. Every single video I
Yes,
say,
I did.
please donate. Didn't get the wrong impression. Let's try it again.
Well, here's the no, let me actually argue against that. Every YouTube video I watched said that. And
No,
every
that's not
YouTube
true.
video put
That's
more
not true.
content
That's
out
not
there
true
for
either.
free.
I'm sure you watched music videos. I'm sure you watched broadcast videos.
I did
I'm
not.
sure you watched a whole bunch of things where they didn't say donate to support what I'm doing because I don't have any ads.
No, most people I watched absolutely begged for, or at least asked for donations and subscriptions at the end, or even throughout the video.
Okay, fantastic.
I
Okay,
watched.
so then you knew the relationship. So it wasn't free.
Hmm. Hmm. The content itself was free, but the relationship was disconnected from the
No, the
content,
content
and I
is
didn't.
free if you don't pay for it, which means someone else has to pay
Yes,
for it,
exactly.
right? Because if nobody
Exactly.
pays for it, this is sort of what you're dealing with, right? If nobody pays for it, you can't do it.
Mhm.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're saying other people should pay for it, but not me.
Exactly. And in that same vein, with my relationship with my customers, one section of the customers pays for it, the other
Right?
consumes. And the part that
But you can't get
consumes it
mad
quality
at
are.
people who don't pay because you don't pay.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I was struggling with, and that's what I
So
overcame,
then we go
especially when I
back
watched
to
that.
hang on, we go back to why didn't you pay for what you consumed? 450
And I
hours is
told
a
you all
lot,
the
right?
excuses and
So
everything.
why
One goes
didn't you
away.
pay
Well,
for what you consumed? And if you you
well, I
got to
didn't
get
pay
to the
for
heart of
consumption.
that, and that will unlock for you the mysteries of your subscribers or non-subscribers, if that makes sense. So why didn't you pay? There's a thought at the root of that. What is that thought?
And that thought is why I almost canceled this interview, but I didn't know how to, so I just went along with it. When that thought, what I concluded, but you might disagree with, and hopefully you do, and correct me where I'm wrong, was that my relationship to you wasn't as a customer, it was as a consumer. And there's a huge difference between that, which was that I wasn't paying you for the content, I was just consuming it like a delight. And so many of my customers
Yes,
were just
but
consuming what I
why?
put out
What
like
is the
what?
thought that has you take something without contributing back?
It's that I didn't value it.
No,
And
no,
it's that
no,
my
you did
customers don't
value it
value it.
because you came back for, hang
I
on,
didn't.
you did value it because you came back for 450 hours. If you didn't value it, you wouldn't have come back.
Nonsense. I do all kinds of stuff that I don't value. I eat terrible junk food that I don't enjoy and I don't value,
I'm
although I
not
pay
sure
for
that
that,
you want
to
to
be
have
fair.
this conversation by comparing my philosophical output to junk food. That's a little
Mm,
provocative, you understand, right?
I agree, but I also earlier compared to your content to the amount of unlimited free content by the brilliant people of the past available at the library,
Well, but they're
which is
all
also
dead and
free.
they're not asking you for donations, so that doesn't count.
Okay. I do need to support you, and so do more other people. I want to support you as a customer, not as a consumer or a donator.
Okay, so when did you come back to what I do?
I continue to follow you on BitChute, but my following amounted to me checking once a month, like, hey, is there a new truth about video? Ooh, a truth about the Wild West. Absolutely.
Okay, so you continued to consume
And so on.
content after I had been deplatformed.
Yes,
Did you think that it might have been a bit difficult for me to be deplatformed? Okay, so did
absolutely.
you think
And
of
the
signing up
two
for
things
say
you know,
$3 a month or
I was
$5 a
homeless at the
month?
time
Hang
with
on.
no light.
Did you think at that time, wow, this guy's been really done dirty and he's been thrown down the well and they peed down on his gaping bruisey wounds and so $3 a month, $5 a month would help him and so on, or did you just keep consuming without reciprocity?
Two answers. I am an edge case in that I was literally homeless from 2020 to 2023, living in a van, traveling the country looking for
Okay,
work. So I am a very weird edge
all right.
case. But I still considered supporting you, but I actually remember the exact quote. Like, I think you said, "Oh, I can only support." I think you. So mean. What you said. You said, "Oh, I can only support you for 50 cents to $1 per month. It's my last 50 cents to $1. If you can't do that, don't support
Absolutely,
me."
yeah. No, so
And I took
listen,
that to heart.
if since 2000, so if for the last 11 years you've been broke, I don't know how you're a gamer and broke because gaming equipment is quite expensive.
I wasn't a
But
gamer,
if you've
except for
been
carbon.
living on death's door for the last 11 years, then sure, of course. I mean, I would never want to teach somebody's last bit of money. That would be gross and unpleasant and wrong. So then the answer is the reason, and I'm not sure why it takes this long, but the reason you didn't donate is for 11 years you've had no money.
From 2020 to 2023, 2024, yes. But before that, I don't know what the disconnect was. I was actually doing pretty well in life. I was making my way up, and that's what I wanted to discuss. And since then, I've bought one of your books and then I gave it away. Oh, I'm sorry, loaned it away and I never got it back. Never loaned books. And I want to buy more of your stuff. I think I just no, I put it in my wish list. I'll buy that next month with my next paycheck. Two of your other
So
books.
I'm gonna, because I don't think we're gonna get to an answer here, so I'm going to give you my thoughts, and maybe they'll make some sense for you,
Yes, sir.
because this, I think, is an insight. So let me ask you this: as a child, when you were a child, did you feel that your parents were kind, generous, warm, and helpful to you?
Oh, we just opened up a huge can of worms. I grew up in the group homes in California, sir.
Do you mean like orphanages?
More like my childhood was a nightmare.
Right. Okay. Go on.
We just opened up a huge can of worms. I had no property rights. Everything I owned, I had to either allow others children to steal to the point that the staff in charge forced me to open up the opportunity for other students to, other group home children to steal, which they did, or to destroy. I had nothing of my own. I had, do you want me to just vent about how awful the
I
group
would
homes are in
absolutely
California, sir?
be
Is that
open to you venting about that, and I'm very sorry for all of this.
okay? At 8 years old, I was taken from my mother because my aunt was a cunt. She just lied about my stepfather at the time, who later actually lived up to her expectations, but at the time was not a big deal. Then my mother got addicted to drugs. At the time, I was already under the influence of a ton of drugs for committing the grave sin of having an IQ of 145, which was 45 IQ points higher than every single person in charge of me in the schools. Then I was put on not SSRIs, all kinds of amphetamines. I was put on one drug that was I don't remember the name of, but it was a syrup that made me hallucinate that my shoelaces were snakes, and that was a great time. Then I was taken to the group homes, and my education went even more piss poor from there. I had a music teacher that never taught me music. I was held back 3 different years, not because I did poor work, but because they misplaced my transcripts 3 years in a row. And when I was in the 5th grade, I was doing 3rd grade work, and then I had to fight to do a test to show, oh, wait, I'm actually in the 5th grade, and I read in a 9th grade level. And it was just that for 8 years straight. And to the point that in high school, I didn't try at all because I'm like, well, wipe off. Everything I've done so far was just lost, giant air quotes. So I literally planned out my high school to get exactly 2.0 GPA, and I did that. Guess what? They lost my records in the last year anyways, and so officially I never graduated high school, even though I did. So that was my group home years. That's ignoring all of the fighting. That's ignoring the weird sexual interactions going on there. That's ignoring the work that I tried to do and was kneecapped on. So yes. So my relationship with property rights, and this is something I really, really struggle with in hindsight, was just ripped away from me. I had no property rights for so long. Everything I got from my family was immediately stolen, not usually by other peers, but by the staff themselves. My social worker stole like 15 grand of computer equipment that was left to me by my dead grandpa. Like, that's how bad it was. So if you're trying to connect this to, well, I assume you're going to, because you're really good at doing this, connecting to our childhood or adult lives, which I've tried to do because I've listened to you for so long, is that my relationship with property and other people's property and my property is so out of whack that I don't know where to begin.
Listen, brother, I mean, that's appalling, wretched, horrible, and my sympathy is bottomless. Big virtual hug. What do you mean by the sexy, the creepy sexual stuff?
Oh, well, sexual and violence. So they were really kind of intertwined. Was that a lot of staff like to get students to fight each other for their amusement, and then us being in these group homes consolidated essentially prisons. I'm sure you know this. Like all of the scientific studies on sexual abuse that come from prison studies are essentially moot because that's not an actual, a valid example of human interactions. But with my growing up, that was very valid in terms of how we interacted. So how we tried to, how we developed sexually was very weird, which is that we didn't. Some group homes I was in, there were solely male. So we talked really weird stuff about trying to figure out what women were like. Other times, some staff, that I was never raped. I'll say that outright. Neither were any of my peers in the group homes, at least. But I don't think I want to go too into detail on that. If that's all right with you, that's a
No,
little
listen,
too.
don't talk
I'm not
about
comfortable with
anything
that.
that you don't want to talk about. That's totally fine. Okay. All right. So, how did things go for you after high school?
After high school, it was a mixed bag. For the most part, I got work as a security guard, as a bouncer. Naturally, I was sexually assaulted a lot by boomer women who just grabbed my balls or butt cheek. And if I ever complained, I was threatened with being fired. But at the same time, if any female coworker complained that a man said something untoward toward them, I had to violently remove them. So that was nice. I'm a little sour.
Sorry, a little what?
I'm a
No, no,
little
I get
sour
that.
about that, yes. And that went on
And you
for
did
like
that for
5
5
years.
years, and then what happened?
After that, I became self-employed as a writer, and I never had to deal
Oh,
with
how
a
lovely.
boss ever again. And it's amazing. It's so good. Oh, it's
Right.
better than sex.
And
Oh,
did you manage to get back, go get into any dating life, or is that mostly by the wayside?
in terms of dating, I've only had success with women that weren't American. Like all of the long-term relationships I had were with women that weren't from America, and they were wonderful. And the problem I had was that I kept aiming, with American women at least, is that I kept aiming for long-term relationships, but um, well, I'm 6'2" and not fat, and have been since I was 13. That makes me a 9. And so they only wanted me for sex. That is literally what my problem was with dating for the longest time. And so I kept trying to aim for long-term relationships with women my age and when I was in my 20s, and none of them were having it. But with foreign women, I didn't have that problem. And so I had some long-term relationships with foreign women, one from Tanzania, one from Thailand, and one from Japan. And those are all wonderful. And I had wonderful relationships with women when they weren't American.
But nothing that led to marriage, right?
Nothing that led to marriage, but that was more because of how much of a transient lifestyle I lived, traveling for work all the time. I was in the military for a little while. That was not great for relationships. And all of my drill instructors were correct in saying, do not marry while you're in the military. Thank God I listened to them. Oh, 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 I'm remembering some of my fellow soldiers. Oh, it was bad. So most of it was because of my transient lifestyle. Then in 2020, again, this is just an excuse, me being saying, woe is me, not taking responsibility, but I was living on the road traveling. And despite that, I actually had a long-term relationship with a girl from Tanzania at the time who was in America. I don't know how that happened. So yeah, I never got married, but I did have some good long-term relationships. I was in love. I was happy for periods. And then at near the tail end of COVID, I did become an alcoholic
Oh
and things
gosh.
did
Well,
fall
what do you
apart.
mean?
I've recovered since then.
It's late in the day
Oh,
to start, isn't it? Are
I
you in your 30s?
I just
Ah,
turned
okay.
31.
So like 27, 26, 27. You
Yeah, 27, 28, I became an alcoholic because all of my work opportunities, which were just starting to look up, I was being offered all kinds of great jobs because of my MOS, telecommunications type work. I was being given jobs working on cell phone towers, traveling the country, which is one of the reasons why it was so hard to date because I was on the road all the time. And it was awesome because I wasn't afraid of height. In fact, I liked them being a little tree monkey as a kid. And then I became an alcoholic when all of that just vanished. Everything just went to shit all at the same time. Near halfway through COVID, around 2021. And then I had to move in to take care of my grandmother because nobody else in the family could. And I actually do owe her, for unlike most of your followers who feel obliged to their families.
Sorry, this is your maternal grandmother?
So yeah, my
And
maternal
she was the
grandmother,
one who
yes.
raised your mother?
She was the one who raised my mother. No, she did not.
Maternal grandmother? I
Hang on,
would think so.
let me think back. Maternal grandmother. She and her husband, first husband, raised my mother until she emancipated at 18, joined the military. And then after that, because my mother was in the military, she was never living anywhere
No,
near
no,
the
but
rest of
hang
the
on. I
family.
mean, your mother, who did she said she became a drug addict, if I remember rightly, and she gave you up to the system?
In
Right.
her late 20s. In her late 20s, she became a
So
drug addict.
this is the
Yes.
woman who raised your mother who
Oh,
abandoned
yeah.
you.
Yes. No, my mother did not abandon me. She has more than made up for it since then. Like, during my adult life, she has more than made up to it. I don't want to go into details, but she has supported me in ways that blow my mind. And I don't feel like I deserve, even though you probably
You don't
disagree.
feel like you deserve the
And
good
she
things
and
that
I
your
are
mother has
split.
given you in your 20s.
As an adult, I don't feel like I should be getting support from my mother. Like, if that makes sense.
No,
Like, I
but she
want to
threw
be
you into an
independent, but I
orphanage.
have not been. She did not. I was
Okay,
taken from her.
but
And
potato,
then she
potato,
became a drug
right?
addict.
I mean, if you act in ways that your kids are going to get
Yes.
taken away, then that's still your thing, right?
Yes. And so for those 10 years, she is, no, actually, let me check. Yeah, she's made up exactly 10 years of the problems she's caused me as a child. I have completely worked through my issues with her. She and I talk almost daily. We are square. Like, she gets a place to live in when she's retirement
Okay.
age.
All right. I'm certainly not. If you feel things are square and she's made up for it, I think that's a lovely thing and good. Now,
And with,
why didn't your
and
grandmother
with that
take you
said,
though
with my grandmother,
when you were taken from your mom?
I agree completely. That's why I won't be taking care of her
Okay.
come April. I'm leaving. And there's like 4 other relatives of my age within
Oh,
like
so you're
30 minutes
taking
drive.
care
I'm
of her
going to tell
now,
them,
but it's
like,
not
hey,
going to last.
she actually visited. Yes. Yeah, it's not going to last. I'm going to tell them, like, hey, look, she actually visited you on Christmas every year. She didn't do that for me. So you guys need to
Okay,
pick up
so
your
if
weight
your
and
mom's
take care
back
of
in your
her now
life
that
and
she's
things are
dying.
really good, how did you become an alcoholic?
That was before my mother was fully back in my life. I was living in Florida at the time and she was in
Oh,
Arizona.
so sorry. How long has your mother been back in your life?
She's been back in my life since I was 18 through about 24. Then I was completely on my own
Sorry, well, what
through my
happened
mid
to her
20s till
in your
around.
mid 20s?
I decided I wanted to be an independent, I'll do everything myself kind of guy, and just disregarded my family because I was an idiot.
Okay, I don't like you calling yourself an idiot, but obviously that's your choice. Okay, so you went and tried to
Well,
do it on your own,
disregarding your
right?
family.
Okay,
Yeah. Yes, I decided I was going to do everything on my own. I paid all my own rent instead of living with relatives, which was very tough on the finances. I decided I was going to just work and yeah, I just decided to do everything on my own, and that was a mistake.
okay, all right. And did your mother try to disagree with that, or get you to?
Oh, yes. She tried to convince me to come live back with her, but I worried at the time that it was kind of a, what is the word? Interdependent kind of relationship. I didn't want to be interdependent on my family because I had that family ripped from me so early that I didn't know how to do that, for one, and 2, I didn't want to rely on that because I felt it was too fragile of a thing to rely on.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, I appreciate that backstory, and I thank you for your frankness. And I'm certainly happy to hear more if there's anything else you think I could put my skills to use with regards to those stories, or we can return to how to get your listeners to donate.
Well, believe it or not, I'm actually doing very well financially. I just don't like that I have to have these very personal, small scale relationships with a handful of customers when to have, I want to have a huge family of people that I interact with that it's so pathetic. And I feel sure you can see exactly why I want this is that I want to have conversations constantly with all of my fans, all of these people who constantly read and leave comments and leave reviews and have
I'm
and
sorry.
do have
I thought you wanted
conversations
more
with me.
people to subscribe.
And
I'm a little confused. You say you're doing very well financially, which is great, but I thought you. Hang on. I thought you needed people.
oh
You said if I can get this number of people to subscribe, I can quit and do this full time, or I can afford to. That'll be $1,500 a month. I can do it full time. I'm sorry. I'm just a little
yeah,
confused. If you're doing well, then why do you need the donations?
yes. The disconnect the problem is I'm trying to balance these two things. I need to be financially supported and I want to have these relationships. It's the same way that you need to be financially supported, but even more so, it really does sound like you need to save the world. Not save the world. I'm aggrandizing you. I don't think you appreciate that, but you want to put all this philosophy out, and there's this balance there. And me, I want to put out all this art, and I want to have these great relationships with my fans, and I kind of want to be able to at least
Sorry.
feed
Do you need
myself while I do it.
people? Again, I thought this conversation. I'm sorry if I misunderstood something. That you need people so that you can do it full time. You need people to subscribe.
I need people to support me $1 to $10 a month. Is if all my fans did $10 a month, I'd make 15 grand a month. If everyone did it $1 per month, that'd be 1,500 a month, and I'd be set. That would be enough. But almost as important, and this is a very, I know it sounds a little schizophrenic, but I want to balance these things. I want to have these relationships with the fans for the art, and I want to, be able to feed myself
Okay,
so I can
so
do it.
do you, or do you, so you said you're doing very well financially, so do you or do you not need people to donate to you?
Well, I've been given this choice is that I can either for finance, I can
Oh,
either
the
have
the
a
chapters, the
small
people who pay
section
for
of
the chapters.
customers. Yes. People who pay per chapter versus the actual fans who talk to me about the stuff I write, who love the art, and who have amazing conversations and feedback and call me out on my bullshit and make me a better
Okay,
person. I
got
love
it.
that.
So the financially doing well part is the people who pay you for the chapters, which I assume are private, but you want the public donations so that you can do more public work. Is it something like that? Okay,
Exactly. Yeah, I have this dichotomy of money versus passion. That's the dichotomy.
okay, all right. Okay, so you said earlier that you say to your listeners, if you do this, then I can do it full time. Is that right?
I can give you guys exactly what you want, a chapter per day, full time. If you guys just give me $1 to $10 per week. I'm sorry, per month.
Right. Okay.
And they said no. That was my answer. And I got a little salty about that. I said, hey, you guys gave me your answer. These other guys are giving me money per chapter. That takes a day,
And sorry,
$100 or
how
more per month.
and have you been producing the work that you want people to donate for, giving it away for free, to so to speak, so
Yes.
that they and how long have you been doing that for?
2016.
Oh, like 9 years.
So 9 years. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so for
again,
nine,
to go over stuff with
hang on. So for 9 years, you've been giving the work away for free that you want people to donate for.
yes,
And for how long have you been asking them to donate for the work that you've been giving out for free?
4 years.
Okay, got it. And how many people do you have who currently give you the $1 to $10 a month?
About 70,
Okay, got it. And you need to get that number to what?
200.
200. Okay. And has it been growing in terms of the number of people? Is it growing? Is it going up like a exponentially, or is it sort of a straight line up, or is it diminishing in terms of the number of people, say every month or couple of months who are donating?
It's the most infuriating thing. Every month it goes up by a few and goes down by the same amount, and it remains exactly the same.
Okay. And you're convinced that you are giving what people want, right?
I've talked to them. They tell me what they want. I give them what they tell me they want.
Yeah,
And
of
the
course. I
only
mean, we can't read
conclusion is
minds. We just have to go with what they say.
exactly,
All
exactly.
right. So why should people donate?
To get more of what they want. They say
But no,
they
they're
want
hang
this.
on, but they're already getting what they want. Because since 2016, you've been giving it away, right?
And then I stopped giving it to what they want because other people are paying me to give them what those individuals want.
Oh, okay.
Paying
So when
customers.
when did you take this work and put it behind a paywall?
I did not put my work behind. I put some of my work behind the paywall, and that did help a little bit. But at the
But
same
when
time,
did you
the
do that?
emotional 2019,
Okay. And are you
just around the
still,
time I
hang
got
on,
my
are
first.
you still producing work for free that you want people to donate for?
Much more rarely,
Okay. Got it. Got it.
but yes.
All right.
But because more of my time is being taken up by these actual customers who pay me by the chapter,
Yeah. Yeah. You
they
have to
say, "Put
focus
their
on
money
that,
where their mouth is."
you have to focus on that which makes money. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So why should people donate to you that is a more compelling reason than what you've given them? Because you've given them your reasons since, for many, many years, and they're still not donating to the level that you want. So what can you tell them that will have them donate or subscribe more? And I'm sure you've thought of this kind of stuff. I certainly have some ideas, but I'm curious what you think.
Well, I think it'd be faster just to tell you what I tried. I just went on a hiatus, which means not producing anything for long periods of time. And until people started donating more, that did not happen. I went balls to the wall, full throttle, producing as much as possible of what people said they want for a month. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, that was a burp. For a month, no blip, nothing. And then, as weird as it sounds, the only thing that made me money was just, oh, hey, here's a fun idea. I'll just do that for a month. I'll just do whatever the hell I want. Am I allowed to say hell?
Oh, yes, fine. Yeah, yeah.
I'll do whatever the fuck I want for a month. And I did that.
I
They
think
got me
you
two
already
new
used the
customers.
see you next Tuesday word for someone. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll do whatever the fuck I want for a month. And that got me two new actual customers paying me $100 per chapter. I'm like, oh, so the cure, I don't want this to be true, but it seems to be the truth, is that just do what you want, build it, and they will come.
So, is your
And
problem
I don't
largely
like that
solved
anymore
based
because it
on that?
doesn't make any sense. Oh, sorry, I didn't catch
Sorry,
that,
is
sir.
your
Sorry.
problem largely solved based on that, or
It has not gotten me any more money in terms of fans or large scale relationships, but it has gotten me more personal. Like, be with my personal customers that pay me by the chapter. Like, I've met half of them in person. They've come out to my area. We've gone to zoos, hiking trails, and had a great time. We're friends. Like, I'm actually friends with my personal customers. I want more of that because I don't have the family structure that gives me that.
right?
And that's just not happening. So the difficulty is, do I want profitability and small social scales? I'm sorry, small social circles. Say that 5 times. Or do I, and I was actually expecting you to do that, or do I want to have these large scale relationships with many people? And I want the latter. And I think maybe that's the problem, is that I want these relationships with many people when I should be focusing on these individual relationships with a smaller number of people.
Right. Okay. All right. So, I will tell you how to get more subscribers. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. People don't give you money, they give money to a cause you share. So the fact that you want to go full time is meaningless to people. It's like if you go to a car dealership and the car salesman says, well, I really want to buy my kid a pony. Does that influence your decision to buy the car?
You kill me so much, sir. That's the reason people follow you. No,
Well,
sir.
it wouldn't, right? Because of course you
No, sir.
want to do it full time, but people aren't going to donate for you to you. Like I basically say, I don't think I've ever said, maybe slip of the tongue kind of thing. I don't think I've ever said donate to support me. What do I say? Donate to support
For my content. And that's what I've
philosophy.
said. Ah, I said to support my content.
Right. No. You people will donate for a mission, not for a person. Like if you get a letter in the mail and the Cancer Society wants you to donate, does the guy say, donate to me? Donate because I need this job. No, they say donate to cure cancer, right?
Mm.
Donate to help the
Amazing how it
homeless.
hasn't
Donate
improved.
to end muscular dystrophy. Donate to feed the hungry and clothe the cold and shelter the homeless. Donate for a cause. And I don't know that you share a cause. Now, the cause doesn't have to be curing cancer. It doesn't have to be moral philosophy, but you need a
Making art.
cause.
Yeah. And I think I told somebody else this recently, like, it's amazing that I'm being paid like $25 to $50 per hour doing this. And the only reason that is because Disney is fucking up so bad that every Star Wars fan will say, please write a Star Wars story that doesn't suck balls.
Right.
I'll pay you. And that's the only reason I'm able to make a living doing this, which was my hobby in
Okay,
high
so
school.
your cause could be rescue this great universe from shitty storytelling. Rescue these characters, rescue this universe, restore the grandeur of the old Republic story time, like whatever it's going to be. Donate for the cause, not for me. Because if you have a cause that you share and your passion shines through in these kinds of stories, I'm sure, the fan fiction, right? So if you have a mission that you both share, they're not donating to you, they're donating to a mission, right?
And so my comments were saying, when I was saying, hey, you guys had the chance. You said no. Money talks. That was me being completely out of line when I
Well,
should have
you're
been
taking it
saying,
personally.
I was taking it personally.
Okay, I
I
get
was
that.
saying,
And it's not
you guys,
about you.
well, no, not only that I was taking it personally, it was that I felt like I was going insane because I was viewing it from a mathematical market perspective.
No, you were
You
viewing
were
it from an
saying you want
ego.
that.
Hang on. You were viewing it from an ego perspective, and that's why I asked you about your childhood. You had
I
a
wasn't.
catastrophic deficiency of love, care, and
Yes.
attention towards you as a child. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
But I would say that the
No,
problem I was
don't guess.
struggling with.
Hang on. You told me, but you went on like a 5-7 minute rant, which I appreciated, about the California system, right?
Mhm.
So when I say you had a pretty catastrophic deficiency of love, care, and attention as a child, is that fair to say? I think it is, unless I've completely misunderstood your history. You had stuff stolen from you. You had $15,000 worth of computer equipment that your grandfather left you stolen from you. There was creepy sexual stuff. There was violence. You were in danger, although, as you said, never raped. Yay, small mercies, or maybe large mercies,
Oh,
given the situation. But you were not loved as a kid.
I was not.
Right. And that's a very, very tough thing. And so the tendency is, if we grow up without that very stable, strong pair bond and people who really love and care about us, then we are very prone and very thin-skinned to rejection.
I have not been thin-skinned to rejection. I think I said earlier that I was trying to balance the monetary side with the personal side. The personal side of what I do is wonderful. I've been read by over 2 million people, like 2 million individual people have read my stuff. I get dozens of conversations per day from my fans. The social aspect, I am very happy with it. The problem I was having was balancing the social with the financial, and the financial part was driving me insane because what people were saying wasn't matching the monetary value they were bringing. And I couldn't monetize it.
Okay, my impression was that you felt somewhat hurt and angry that people weren't subscribing.
I did, but that was me conflating two different issues together, and that's on me.
I'm not blaming you for it. I mean, it's natural to feel that way, but those feelings of rejection tend to be exacerbated if you don't have a strong pair bond with loving parents when you're young.
Yes, sir. And and as I already explained, a lot of my relationships were certainly transient as a result.
Right, got it. Okay. So there needs to be a cause that you get people enrolled into or excited about. You know, we're gonna save the Star Wars universe from shitty feminist storytelling, like whatever it's going to be. Like it's a
Catholic
mission.
Kennedy. We'll think of Catholic Kennedy.
Yeah. So it's a mission, and we're at war. and you could do I sort of get this image of the opening of the first Star Wars movie, the giant Death Destroyer chasing Princess Leia's little pew pew, like her little spaceship. It's like, okay, so Disney is the Star Destroyer, and you are the plucky little rebel alliance who's trying to, you know, save the story, save the Republic. So there needs to be a mission that people aren't just giving you money, they're giving money towards a mission, which is why I say, and it's not hypocritical. I mean, this is what I do. I'm promoting philosophy, and I'm one of the most successful people in history to promote philosophy. And it's like, help support philosophy, help support the show, help support what it is that I'm doing, not me, because it's not a me thing. And that takes the equation out. Now,
That's very humble, sir.
I'm sorry?
I said that's very humble of you, sir.
Well, I mean, I serve philosophy, and that's sort of the gig. Now, also, when you ask people to donate, you trigger a lot of childhood shit with people. You do, because a lot of people have relationships to public figures, and you are, of course, a public figure in your way. A lot of people have relationship to public figures in the same way that they have a relationship to their parents. Now, if you are a parent, you give and give and give to your children, and you don't charge them, right? I mean, I didn't require my daughter to peruse the menu, pay $5 for a sandwich, and leave a tip when she was 5 years old, right? So a lot of people, if they have not gone through that process of having parents devoted to them and getting things for free, then when you ask for reciprocity, they get very upset. They get very upset because they experience it as a parent asking for money. You say, hey, kid, you're 6 years old. I'll take you to the playground, but you got to give me $3.55. I mean, that would be bizarre and really off-putting and, pretty negative, right? So that's why earlier I was questioning your relationship to free. Because children, and I'm not calling you a child, and I'm not calling people who experience this, but if you've had the experience as a kid of not being loved and cared for and devoted to by loving parents, then you have an incomplete receiving aspect of your personality. You need to receive, and it usually arises from incomplete grieving. So, one of the things that I worked on in my 20s was just the recognition that I was never going to have a happy childhood. It could never be fixed. It could never be undone. And with all due respect to your story with your mother, which you don't want to talk about, which is totally fine, of course, for me, there was no undoing what I had suffered as a child. I just had to kind of find a way to get closure, to grieve it, to work from it. But a lot of people don't take that approach. What they do is they won't do the grieving. They keep that hope open. They keep that hope alive. And then what happens is they enter into relationships with others in the hopes of receiving what they didn't receive as children. People do it through sex. People do it through money. People do it through power. People do it through authority. They do it through the ability to offer gifts. They do it through any number of things. And so for a lot of people, I am internet daddy. And I mean, I'm literally called that by countless people over the years, which is, I mean, I find that very flattering, and I appreciate the sobriquet, but they view me as internet daddy, and I should be there for them, and I should not charge them to go to the fucking playground. Right? So I think that is one of the issues that people have. And so because you said earlier, when you would ask for money, people would get angry, right? And they would accuse you of begging. E-begging. I mean, I've been called an e-beggar almost as many times as I've been called a Jew, right? So I'm neither begging nor Jewish.
I am a Jew, and I think you can take it as a compliment, sir.
So the sort of e-begging, so people get angry because when you ask for reciprocity in your relationships with people, it disturbs the parent-child thing that's going on in their mind. And again, I know this sounds kind of abstract, but just let me sort of make the case. We'll see if it makes any sense. So people have this, they take comfort in you providing them stuff for free because it allows them to avoid grieving whatever they didn't get as children. And then when you say, wait, hang on, we're both adults, you need to exchange value for value, what happens is they then are yanked out of the childhood parent relationship and put into an equal adult relationship, which makes them angry. Or to put it in a sort of deeper and more complex way, the inner parents get angry because when somebody demands reciprocity or asks for reciprocity, asks for sort of fair trading and the exchange of value, then it destabilizes the bad parenting that went on early on. So that the sort of e-begging, the people get angry and they feel humiliated that you're asking them for money because they're in a child-parent relationship. And you by asking for reciprocity, you're saying to them, look, you're not children, we're adults. We should exchange value for value, right? I mean, you wouldn't dine and dash, right? And you shouldn't consume resources without providing value, right? And we all do it from time to time, but if you're doing it considerably, as you said, sort of 450 hours. So what happens is you ask for money, and people are jolted out of their child-parent relationship, and then they get angry because it does remind them that they're still kind of immature. They have a lot of unprocessed stuff to deal with from their childhoods. Because, of course, you and I both know, I mean, you're almost 31, right? So you know that adults need to exchange value. Otherwise, it's parasitical, right? Otherwise, it's exploitive. If you're simply taking value without providing reciprocity. And again, for me, I've always said the reciprocity does not have to be financial. People can share my work. They can talk about the ideas, even if they don't want to identify me as being too controversial, right? They can, as long as you're doing something to spread philosophy, you're a bosom buddy of mine. It doesn't have to be money, although there certainly is some necessity for that, given that we live in a, cash-based society. So when you ask for things, people get angry. Now, also, what happens is it kind of flips. So that when you're asking for things, there's a famous scene from, of course, Oliver Twist, Dickens, right? Oliver Twist by Dickens, where Oliver Twist is still hungry at the orphanage, right? And, he goes up and he says, please, sir, can I have some more? And it's like, more? Like, it's just absolutely appalling that a child would have needs and preferences. So they are in a child-parent relationship with you, and that you're supposed to provide endless things without reciprocity, which is exactly what parents are supposed to do. But then when you ask for something, the roles switch in their mind, and now you become a child who is asking a parent for something. See, it has to be child-parent. They're child-parent to you. When you ask for something, it flips, and you are now the child, and they are the parent, and that's why they get aggressive, and they say, you're e-begging, it's desperate, it's pathetic, because that's what happened to a lot of people when they would ask their parents for something, is they would get a lot of aggression in return. So understanding all of this means people are just, they're just tripping on childhood leftovers. It's nothing to do with you, and it doesn't matter relative to the cause. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to bully you into shutting up and give them something for free again. Just shut up, stop asking, get back into providing me stuff for free. It's a kind of exploitation. And that's sort of parent to child. So, the parents who say, you owe me respect, you owe me obedience, it's give me something for free. I don't have to earn it. You just owe it to me. Respect, honor thy mother and thy father. You owe me respect, you owe me honor. And so the moment as adults we say, look, we need an exchange of value here. I'm providing something of value. You should provide something of value back. The exploitive relationships that they grew up with are directly challenged, and it freaks people the F out, and they get very aggressive and destabilized. And it's nothing to do with you. It's not your fault that people had bad childhoods, and we can't spend our whole lives tiptoeing around people's bad childhoods, because then the bad guys win, and so on, right? So let's go then to something more practical, which is when you ask for donations, you get tense about it, I think. And I understand that. People do. I mean, if you've ever been in sales, you know that actually asking for the sale is, rather than just chatting up the product, actually asking to sign on the dotted line can be stressful for people. But the thing that will get you the most response is direct honesty, not anything else other than direct honesty. I really care about philosophy. I want an income to help support philosophy, and it matters a lot to me. Now, if you're saying, well, I can do this full time and so on, that's your needs. And I think what is the most honest thing that you could say to people about why you want them to donate? What's the most honest and vulnerable thing that you can say to people about why you want them to support you?
Well, let me first say that as you spoke, there were so many conclusions you came to that I came to before you even said them. I just would never have explained them anywhere near as erudite as you did. The dependency relationship is something that you led me into before you even said it. And this is why I listen to you. So many people listen to you because you make us think. But my conclusion from all of this and conclusions that I kind of flirted with before we actually had this call, which makes me so glad we had this call, is that I need to divorce this monetary relationship I want to have with this other relationship I want to have, which is the art for the art's sake. You I think I'm just going to cut out the donation half of the equation entirely because the only thing that's brought me profit was this one-on-one. Tell me what story you want me to write. I'm your bitch. I'll write it. You pay me. I'll write it. And I should just focus on that. And what the problem I was going through was that I was adding all this personal emotion to where it didn't have to go. I needed to keep the business
No,
and
no, no, no.
personal
You're
separate.
dodging. You're dodging. So I asked you what's the most open and honest thing that you could say.
The most open
And
and
you're
honest
like,
thing I
well,
can
I
say is,
don't need to ask for
you tell me
donations at
what to
all,
write, I'll
right?
write. Did you tell me what to write, I'll write it. That's the most honest thing I can say.
No, because that is not a donation pitch.
I don't I don't think the donation is because you said
Hang
yourself
on,
is
hang
that
on.
I'm
I
fighting
gotta.
against the
Okay,
intensity.
because I thought that the whole point of this conversation is you want to get to that $1,500 a month of stable income, right?
Which I've gotten closer to with
No,
the
no, but
small number of
you
I'm
got to
actually
get from
on
70 to what was it, 200 people or 100 people or something like that, right? To get your base. Okay.
200 people, yes, sir.
So for me, if you don't want to do it, that's obviously totally fine. But for me, it's like, please, I provide a fantastic service. Philosophy is really important to the world. Please help out what it is that I'm doing. Please help out philosophy. Please support what it is. I've also made the case that if you pay value for value, that signals to your unconscious that you're actually really serious about philosophy. Our unconscious mind doesn't care about what we say. It only cares about what we do. Like our belly doesn't care if we say the word diet 50 times a day. It only cares if there's more or less food. Our lungs don't live on the word air. They actually need oxygen. So our bodies, our unconscious, all runs on actual facts, not stated intentions. And so if you say, or if somebody says, I'm going to do 10 or 20 bucks a month to philosophy, your unconscious is like, oh, okay, so it's not just a game, it's not just entertainment. We're kind of serious about this because we're actually applying resources to it. Like if you think about playing piano, nothing really changes. Or if you think about learning piano, nothing really changes. But if you spend half an hour a week practicing piano, your brain will actually start to change. Oh, we're actually doing this. Oh, it's serious. Okay, we'll start to rewire things. We'll start to learn new things and all of that. So there is an integrity aspect to it that if it is a mature and adult thing to do to exchange value for value, and it is actually treating yourself like a child if you expect everything for free. And the way that you signal to your mind that you're an adult is you exchange value for value. And you go to a restaurant and you're going to pay for your meal. If you go to your mom's place, you don't pay for your meal, right? Because that's a parent relationship. So there's a lot of benefits that people get from donating. And of course, I get tons of emails from people who are like, yeah, you're right. Now that I've donated, I'm taking it a lot more seriously and it really means a lot more to me and so on. And the other thing too is that, of course, for me, and again, it's different for what you do, but maybe there's similar principles, which is donating gets you to get the right of complaining. And the right of complaining is really important in life, right? So if you've supported philosophy
Wait,
and the
stop
world
there.
goes to hell,
Could
hang
you
on,
could
hang
you
on,
explain what that
let me
means?
finish, let me finish.
You lost me.
So if you support philosophy and then the world goes to hell, you can say, well, I did my bit. Whereas if you don't support philosophy and the world goes to hell, you might look back and say, well, gee, maybe I should have supported philosophy. And you can't really complain about the lack of philosophy in the world, not you individually, but people really can't complain about the lack of philosophy in the world if they're not even going to donate sort of 5 or 10 or $20 a month for philosophy. So there's a lot that's very honest stuff that I'm aware of. And you could say, maybe you can buy the right to complain about bad stories if you support good stories.
Oh, okay. That's what I lost. Okay, so people who pay have the right to complain about how trash
No,
my
no,
stuff
no,
is.
no,
Okay,
no,
I got
no, not no, no,
it.
not how trash your stuff is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little. They have the right to complain.
Well, yeah, I mean,
People who don't
if
pay
you
don't have
think
the right to complain.
that sort of mainstream Star Wars stories are terrible, then support someone who's writing really good Star Wars stories, and then you can say to people, here are the good things, look how much better they are, look at you then get the right to complain. But if you don't even support people writing really good Star Wars
No.
stories, you can't really complain about bad Star Wars stories, if that makes sense.
God, that makes perfect sense. That's what I didn't understand for a second. So here's the conclusions I've come to. It's that I am getting two different types of reciprocity for this. One is monetary, one is non-monetary. The reason I originally started writing was for the art of it and for the connection with people, and it has more than paid dividends in that. Just writing has gotten me great connections, has made me friends, and I've traveled
Well,
all
and
around the world
unlike
to
your
meet.
last job, the only sexual harassment you experience is from yourself, and that's always a huge plus. Because you're
Oh, no,
HR too,
I
so
have experienced sexual harassment from the writing. I have, but I can ignore it by
it's
blocking the
hashtag
people. It's
it's
very easy.
hashtag me
So,
too hands. Anyway, go on.
yes. Yes. So I have experienced sexual harassment for writing by people leaving stuff that was just straight up them writing porn to fuck with me. But I can just block them. So it's very easy to deal with. But on the other hand, though, I have also discovered the monetary reciprocity, which was a separate relationship. And there is some overlap, but I've been too obsessed with, I do believe this is my conclusion. I'm sure it's not what you were trying to lead me to, but I think I should keep them separate. I should write and enjoy the love of writing for the art and have those non-monetary relationships with people. Because like you said, you've received so much non-monetary benefits from this show, the amazing conversations and relationships you've built with people that are worth more than all the money you've gotten combined.
No, I
Would
wouldn't
you
agree
agree
with
with
that
that?
at all. No, because
Okay.
the
Well,
conversations
I would
that I
agree with
have with
that.
people, I mean, so let's look at the conversation I'm having with you. I have solved, to a large degree, I have solved the problem of donations, or at least I'm relatively satisfied with donations. And so this is to your benefit and to the benefit of other people who listen. I'm very happy to have the conversations. I'm not saying this is some sort of personal self-sacrifice, but it's sort of like if you're already slender and muscular and you're trying to help other people become slender and muscular, it is more for their benefit than for yours, unless you're being paid directly, which is kind of not the case with what I do. So I'm very happy to have these conversations, but I wouldn't say that for me having this sort of call-in shows is worth more than all the donations. Like, no, no, no. I mean, it's a value, and that's why I get the right to ask for donations, because I do such a good job in these kinds of conversations.
Well, my experience has been very different from you, and that's fine. We're very different people. I really do value at least as much as the monetary stuff I've had from this separate relationship of offering my services as a writer to writing for the passion of it. And so I think I should just divorce them. I think my passion for the passion's sake, exchanging stories for stories. And I've motivated people to become writers, so they've done amazing stuff. And that's brought me more joy, almost more than being able to
Okay,
eat some
so
days.
my understanding is
On the other
then
hand,
you're going to focus on the paid work and not worry about the subscriptions. Is that right?
I'm going to stop harassing the people. I say I've harassed people because I've been a little mean about it. I'm going to stop haranguing people for donations. I'm going to say, these are my services. I will write stuff for you if you pay me. If you don't, enjoy my free stuff. It's great. I know, but
Yeah,
it's
I personally, I don't
and I
think
think,
that's,
and we've been doing
I
that
don't
for
think that's what to, I mean, obviously it's your choice. I don't think that's what to get out of what I'm saying. I think you're backing away from a challenge. You're just asking for what you want. What you want is to hang on.
no. What I
What you
want is
want,
to
hang
pay
on.
for
What you
the
want is the $1,500 a month. That's a stable basis, so you can do that sort of stuff full time. That's what you want. Now, there's nothing wrong in any and all of your relationships of stating what you want. I want people to donate to what it is that I do. That's what I want. Now, I'm not going to force anyone, obviously, right? But when you dated the Japanese girl, the Thai girl, the girl from was it Tasmania or something like that. So when you when you date, you stated to them and you said, "Listen, I'd like to go out, or let's go get a coffee." Like you stated what you want. And so if there's something that you want from your audience, it's a very powerful thing to just say it. And yeah, people will bitch and moan. My God, I mean, I've told the story a million times, but like I can't remember how long it was, like a decade or more ago. Someone sent me $2 and I posted a picture of the $2 without the person's name, of course. And I said, I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but and it's still literally a meme where people think I was screaming at a listener because he only donated $1 and haranguing him. All of that is completely false. But the reality is that I'm going to say, in all of my relationships, I'm going to say what I want. And people can like it, they can not like it. I frankly don't care. I don't care. I mean, I care with the people I'm close to and all of that. But if I was doing something that was annoying my wife, I'd want her to tell me. If I'm doing something that makes my wife happy, I want her to tell me. And so in relationships as a whole, now, when you were growing up, right, your opinions didn't matter, right? Because you were stuck in this terrible system and people were ripping you off and creepy sex stuff was floating around and violence and so on. So you could not express what you wanted as a kid and have it mean something, right?
absolutely correct. I was the most what is the ocean score? Openness, conscientiousness. The opposite of conscientious. I was as aggressive and contrary as possible. I told
Okay,
them
but
what was
you
what.
but you
And I
still
paid the price and
you
I was happy
couldn't
to.
yeah, you couldn't
Didn't matter,
express what
but
you
yeah.
wanted and have people listen and care, right? Right. So
Right.
hang
And
on.
so I didn't listen
So
and care to them.
so when I say to you, what's the most honest way that you could express what you want with your listeners? You immediately say, well, I'm just not going to ask anyone. I'm just shutting it down. I'm just going to go with the paid stuff because I think it's quite upsetting for you. And I completely understand why. This is no criticism. I think it's quite upsetting for you to think that you might just have to express what you want. And or you could just express what you want and maybe have it
Mr.
work
Molyneux,
and
you're
maybe
exactly
have it
right.
work
Oh,
out.
you're gone.
I think it's difficult and stressful. And again, I understand why, I think, and I sympathize with that, but I think it's difficult and stressful for you to say that you are just going to say what you want and let the chips fall where they may, because if you tried that when you were a kid, very bad things happen. So listen, I'm not obviously going to make you do that or something like that, but I am going to sort of suggest that think about that as a possibility, that it might be worth saying that.
I'll say a lot of what you said was exactly correct. A little bit of it was off base because of my poor explaining. One is I am still going to say, hey, you can still donate to me. And actually, what has worked recently was saying, hey, thank you guys for supporting me. And just saying thank you. And that has gotten me some support, more support than just being,
Right.
hey, support me, support
So
me.
listen.
I will continue to
I'm
say,
gonna
hey,
stop
you
here. I
guys
have
want to
something else
support
I
me.
need to do. So I just put it out there as a
Oh, I'm sorry.
possibility, and maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't. But I would definitely
Yes, sir.
say that breaking those kind of patterns is usually really a good idea. And is there something that did you want to mention your website in case people want to drop by?
Oh, no, I'm not here to. I write really terrible fan fiction. I don't want to get
All
followed.
right. Well,
Yeah, I'm
maybe you
good,
can just
sir. I
text
just
me
want to say,
privately, and
yes,
I'd like
I'll
to have a
continue
look.
to
But I
say,
really do appreciate your time today.
yes, yours is
Thanks,
vastly more
man. I
valuable than
appreciate it.
mine,
Have a
sir.
great night.
Have a great one.
Bye.